A second. Hey, Scott and Becky, we're going live. Who do you want to do a shout out to?
Do a shout out to Art Sellers.
And our co-leaders for the workshop, Nan Peterson, David, and Kiki Poye.
That is a lot of people. Thank you guys. We are going to rock and roll it right now. Here we go. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm excited today. Not only did we bring it down to the wire, which was, we made it with 18 seconds to go, but we're, for everyone out there in the audience, we're talking with Scott and Becky today about the way through experience. And that is, let me see, Becky gave me an amazing way of actually phrasing this. It is a exceptional and emotional breakthrough experience to help people to get through their past trauma and become their true selves. Did I get that right, Becky?
That's perfect.
It was pretty
That
close
sums it
anyway,
up.
right? Yeah. So, why don't you put it into your own words, and then I want to ask about how you got into it, how we're going to help people, what people ought to know if they want to get into the program, and all those sort of things. So, Becky, why don't you kick it off for us and tell us just a little bit, how did you guys get into this whole program, or Scott there to talk about that?
I think we'll let Scott talk about that because he's been doing it here from basically from near the beginning.
Yeah.
And I've just been doing it for the last few years. So I'll turn that over to you.
Okay. So in 1989, the gentleman in my shout out brought a program called Mastery to Florida. He introduced it to a group of therapists in the area, and they fed him clients over the next 10 years. It was an emotional breakthrough workshop designed to help actors and actresses break free from old roles, perhaps roles they've been stuck in, or just long-term roles. The work was so proficient that it actually worked on all of the roles that they had ever accepted, or perhaps were put on them, or they acquired for survival. So they realized that they had something magical, and they opened it up to the general public. Art learned it, brought it here, and he passed in '97. We started the work up again in 2000, and we've been doing 8 to 10 workshops a year since then. So we've touched probably thousands of people with the work, and it's unique in its structure. It's unique in its process. It's a 3-day weekend workshop. So yeah, that's
Let
it
me
in
ask
a
you,
nutshell.
so when you talk about roles, I just want to be clear about this. You were talking about with actors who maybe were getting typecast into roles and needed to break out of those roles so that they might get better or different work. Is that kind of the roles you're talking about?
Yeah, not just typecast out there in the world, but perhaps also locked into a role within themselves. They had played a character for perhaps 4 or 5 seasons, or for a few years, and they had really lost touch with that authentic piece of them that is the actor, that is the clean slate. So the work became an opportunity to pull off those old masks, to pull off those old roles, and really become their authentic self, get into their magic, get into their inspiration, and
Wow.
that's where the work really becomes magic.
How does one actually? I have never been an actor myself.
Me
I've
either.
only acted in life, right? So, is it really it's possible that someone does a role so much, they do so much method acting or whatever, that they become that person and they forget who their real selves are?
Well, yeah. I mean, at any given time, we can look in the mirror and see one of those actors, and I think that's what they found out is we have played roles in our lives for so long that we believe that we are the rebel, or the bad child, or the idiot, or the savant, or whatever they told us we were, whatever we had to do in order to survive. That's the the macro answer. And yes, to the original more specific question, actors and actresses often get locked into the role so deeply that they can't unwind themselves. I think one of the most famous examples would be what happened to Keith Ledger when he came home from England after doing the Joker. He
Yeah,
was
he was a scary Joker,
consumed.
by the way.
Yeah, he was consumed by that character. He was consumed by that role, and had expressed, very clearly that he was struggling coming out of that. And then, the fuzz of mental health, played a strong role in that process as well, I'm sure.
Wow, I hear that. Yeah, Heath Ledger was actually my favorite Joker. So
Hmm.
props for him, but I'm sorry he couldn't get out of it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So Becky, when you see people in our lives, then we're stuck in a role. One, do they have to recognize it, or someone else recognize it for them? And how do they then approach you guys and say, "I want to get out of this"?
That's one of the main things that we insist on when people do the workshop. We don't we don't say, oh, you know, come do the you should do this, you should do this. People really have to accept that they want to change their lives. Now they may not understand anything about roles. A lot of people, I mean, one of the roles that most people are going to be familiar with is the role that you take on when you go do your 40-hour a week job. For
Yes.
example, you're somebody at work. That somebody at work may not be the person that you truly are. So that's just an example of one of the roles. And again, people may not be familiar with those concepts, but when they decide that they want to change, that they're not the person that they truly want to be or that they feel they are inside, then that's when they're ready to come and do the work.
How do you know which role is you then? I mean, you've got, I guess, let's take a typical family situation. You've got someone who's a father, they're a provider. You've got mothers who are providers and they're also workers, and mothers and house cleaners, and everybody's doing all these things. What's the authentic role? How do you know what that role is, or are there multiple authentic roles?
That's part of what we strive to find is because we all have tons and tons of roles, many roles, and it comes down to where are you happy, where do you feel fulfilled, where are you creative. That's one of the things that we see happen a lot in the workshop is people find that spark within themselves, their creative selves, that helps them be real, just to be real.
Are we trying to get to like a single role, or are we trying to get rid of the roles that don't serve us? What are we trying to get to?
Michael, I think if I bring it to you this way, so many of us end up in our 30s, 40s, and 50s having taken on many different roles through the course of our life. Some of them were in response to survival. Some of them were in response to the job or the occupation that we chose. The rest were part of our life, and father, friend, uncle, brother, all those kinds of roles. So it's like when we go through workshop, all that stuff gets washed off, and you really are down to your naked authentic self. And from that place, we the offering becomes, who do you want to be? Who
Yeah.
are you going to choose to be? As opposed to creating roles in response to or in reaction to or in order to survive. We're choosing the roles that we want to portray in life at choice, because that's who we want to show up as, and that becomes our true authentic self.
So when people actually choose these roles and they decide in the workshop, you know what, I don't like this other role I've been doing, I don't like that role, and they come out of the workshop, do they find that their friends, family, coworkers have act differently towards them and that they maybe don't want those relationships anymore, or what happens?
Absolutely. One of the things that's subtly true for everyone who comes to workshop, every single relationship that they have is in jeopardy,
Mm, wow.
right?
And
And I left that kind of pause for on purpose. It's like every single relationship is about to change because you are going to arrive at a new concept, a new understanding of who you are and how you interact with the world. The other piece that I think is rather unique, and it happens almost every workshop, is we have toxic stuff. We have toxic relationships that, even though these people may be past, or we're not in relationship with them anymore, the relationship that we had left so much toxicity that we carry it around with us. When we release those people, those moments, those pieces in time, those people all of a sudden reach out to us, and within days of doing that work, they're on the phone to us saying, "Are you okay? Is everything all right?" Now,
yeah,
obviously, not folks who have passed, but I can remember, doing my workshop, and within days of me doing my workshop, both my brother and my sister called to ask me if I was okay.
well, what happens with people who are in a marriage and one person comes to the workshop and the other person doesn't? What do you find happens to those people that come to the workshop without their spouse?
We when we do the workshop, we don't let people that are married or parents and child or brothers and sisters, they don't come and do the workshop together. You want to come and do your workshop and feel totally free to say whatever you want and express however you feel. So we don't let people that have close personal relationships do the workshop at the same time. What we like to see with people that are in relationship, whether it be a marriage or parental siblings, whatever, one come and do it, get cleaned off, decide who they want to be, and then we encourage them, if they are trying to save a relationship, to get that other person to come, because if that other person comes and they do the same thing and they wash the toxicity out of their lives and they become their authentic selves, very often those people find that what attracted them to each other in the first place is still there. It doesn't have all the
Wow.
gunk on top of it. And so once once you do a workshop, you can come back forever and do what we call sit in the dark and be an assistant. And we encourage people to come with those close relationships and sit together in the dark, because you learn more and you discover more and you have good discussions. And it, I think, more than break up relationships, it brings people back together. It makes them closer than they ever were.
What about for people who are in jobs that they don't like, but they go, I've got to keep this job because I still have to pay my bills, I still have to take care of my family, I still want to go on vacation. What kind of changes have you seen in those people? And are they scared to go back to work after the experience, or are they happy to go back and tell their boss, I got to go? What do you find happens to those people?
So for me, I was the youngest general manager on the Eastern Seaboard for Denny's. I ran Denny's in Cocoa Beach. It was a multi-million-dollar restaurant, and within 1 year of doing my workshop, I had put in my resignation and moved on.
Did you know you were going to do that after you finished the workshop, or
Immediately upon finishing the workshop, I knew that that's what I was going to do, that I was not doing what I needed to be doing with my life, and there were specific changes that needed to be made. But the work also gave me, at least, gives, I hope still gives other folks, a place where you stay true to the commitments that you've made until you're ready to make new choices, and take new directions, and you do that with integrity. By deuces to the job is easy, but going back to the job and saying, listen, I've had a change of heart, I want to move in a new direction, what's the best way for us to part ways so that I'm not leaving you guys in the lurch, and I feel really good about moving on. Really puts folks in a place where they can go and speak their truth with a level of authenticity that allows them integrity, and also creates, lasting bonds. I still have relationships with at least 14 or 15 people within that Denny's structure, and that was 35 years ago. I
Wow, that's
left that
awesome.
world in a really good place, with a lot of amazing people. But it wasn't for me. I was supposed to be doing something else.
I know that there are people who are watching, they're going like, is this what I want to do? Should I do this? How do I pull the trigger? Who do I talk to before I do this? There are tons of questions that go into this. How do people start making that decision?
Go to our website, the way through
Com.
experience.com, waythroughexperience.com. There's information on there. We also have Facebook pages that people can look at. Just go look for the way through on Facebook, right?
I think one of the big pieces, Michael, is, when you're looking in that mirror, are you seeing the reflection that you most want to see, that you're in love with, that you're excited about? Are you going to bed every night feeling unfulfilled, thinking, is this all there is? Is there times where you wake up at night reliving, rethinking, re-experiencing old trauma, that you can't shake? And then finally, is your past invading your present, and are you being triggered in your life on a regular basis, that you don't want to be out of control in your life? You want to have a say in how you're going to show up and how you're going to react, in the simple moments of life. I think any one of those moments would prompt checking out the website, checking out the
Yeah.
Facebook page, or perhaps giving Becky or I a call and saying, "Hey, is this work for me? This is what I have going on."
So even before the actual workshop starts, the person's already working on themselves, saying, you know what, I need help. I got to do something different than what I'm doing now. So anyone
It's so
who's
funny
in
you
that
should
position,
it's so funny you should say that, because we always tell people as soon as they make that commitment, even verbally or however they make the original commitment, we always say, "Oh, your workshop is started. You've already started."
that's awesome. I
Yeah.
really like what you guys are saying. If you want some words of wisdom that you wanted to give people and just sum up what we've been talking about, what are the words of wisdom that you have for people who are listening and want to get something out of your experience that you're going to give them?
You first.
I think probably the biggest piece is it's an inside job, and it's always an inside job. It's an inside job every time, and even when you think it's not an inside job, it's an inside job. This piece of work, more than anything I've ever done, therapy, Alcoholics Anonymous, spiritual journey. This one has turned my view inside, and really, um, gifted me with the clearest view I've ever had of me.
Gotcha.
What about you?
And a lot of people don't like hearing it's an inside job, because they want to blame everything out there in the world. It was my parents, it's my boss, it was this, and my ex, whatever. They want to blame everything out in the world. But once you take that on and you say, yes, this is an inside job, you are in complete control. You are in control of your life for the most part. Every stuff happens that you can't really control all the time, but for the most part, you are in control of your life, and you are always in control of how you choose to react to things. So it's very empowering,
Yeah.
absolutely very empowering.
I like I like the fact that it's an inside job. I love that. That's something I want to take with me in my mind. And the fact that you are always in control. I've heard people say that, and I think other people have too, but it is always so true that you
Hmm.
are in control of how you respond to X, Y, and Z. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome. Thank you for being on. I love this. I want to make sure people know. Let me show them one more time so they can get in touch with you through your websites and through Facebook. You've got thewaythroughexperience.com, and you also have thewaythrough.org on Facebook. I believe that's where we are. All right. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being
Thank you,
on. And
Michael.
Thank you for
It's
having
always a
us.
pleasure.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
just a joy to be with you.
don't be surprised if I just pop up and see you guys sometime.
Perfect. Yes, yes. Please do. That would be wonderful.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
Take
Be
care.
well, man.